Santiago told me he's excited to do that extra work beyond the team practices. And of course, we need to do that extra work beyond team practices to see that difference. Having you in my corner has been game changing. That was from Landon from California. And we really have two ways to help our players. Which path depends on really his metrics and where he's currently at in the whole timeline, which is a reason why we need to speak together to just make sure that we map out the correct game plan. Path number one, that's called the triple play. That's what you may have already heard a little bit about. That's done with you. We give you the complete system. Your son executes it kind of like a robot, right? When I transitioned from high school to college, the biggest thing that I saw is we had a strength coach that wrote those programs and us, the athletes, and this continued, of course. All right. Welcome into another episode of the Mendoza Line. I'm your host, Evan Mendoza. I played 7 years of professional baseball with the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Padres, and I'm here to share all that baseball knowledge with you guys. So welcome in to another episode. Guys, little sad, but this is going to be the last Mendoza Line. Have gone about basically 50 days straight, and not necessarily straight, but very excited to be able to kind of just like go to that next level of not only like understanding this content of what I'm posting out there and just being able to interact a lot more efficiently and effectively with you guys. So no, this has been a lot of fun. Of course, we have a full hour slated up. Before we get started, though, if this is the first time you're ever joining into the Mendoza Line, feel free to drop a baseball emoji down below in the chat. We are live on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure to check out my YouTube content. That's going to be where I post the best content out there. So make sure to go ahead over there. We're going to do some player profiles, which is kind of like what you guys have been loving recently, of kind of just going over specific players, current stats, metrics, whatever you want to call it. And of course, kind of like guessing the level of where that specific player would be at. So let's get this show on the road. And as you guys already probably know, I like to record as well as I'm doing these. And feel free also to drop your metrics down below in the chat so we can go over yours in particular as well. So let's get this show on the road. All right, we have a 2027 outfield right-handed pitcher, exit velocity 94, 89 arm with a 6.6 60. Awesome. So this definitely checks the box for me. Arm velocity, that definitely checks the box for me. 2027, we're in our junior year right there. And even if that arm velocity is off the mound or off from the outfield with that momentum that we're able to kind of like use the momentum to our favor, still 89, you're definitely right there on the cusp of being in the 90-mile-an-hour club, especially since it's our junior year. 94 exit velocity, I still think that's pretty solid. So in my opinion, with having a plus speed, you definitely are favoring being an athletic outfielder. So keep both in your back pocket. If you're a pretty solid pitcher, keep that in your toolbox. But ultimately, what I would say is probably you're on that cusp of like D1, D2. If you keep up the hard work, of course, we want to use all these numbers right now as leverage. And if you guys don't know what leverage is, it's basically a teeter-totter that we've all been on basically in elementary school, right? If we have that leverage of like a lot of weight that we're pulling basically because we're almost throwing 90 as a junior, because we have a 94 exit velocity, because we have a 6.660, that is leverage to help in the recruiting game. That should help with, offers, right? That should help with communication with college coaches. That should help with the relationship that you're building with these college coaches. So ultimately, I want to make sure that this is being taken care of for this specific individual to help us be able to achieve those dreams and goals of playing D1 or D2 baseball. All right. We are officially getting started. Guys, feel free to also, if you want, you can always go ahead and put your metrics down below in the chat. Like I said, we are live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, so I'm going to go ahead and get some other player profiles down as we keep this show on the road. Let's go ahead and record, and we're good to go. Okay, we got a 2028 coming up. All right, we have a 2028 shortstop third baseman, 90 EV, 85 arm velocity, and a 6.860. Definitely pretty solid, 6.8. Yeah, this definitely helps us be on the left side of the infield. 90-mile-an-hour exit velocity, nothing super crazy, but again, we are talking about a sophomore. Ideally, like if you really want to be ahead of the curve, you want that exit velocity be like 97 plus as soon as humanly possible. I know some freshmen that have a 97 exit velocity off the tee with a wood bat, and that just helps you put yourself in that category of, wow, that's that one tool that can definitely help you get noticed. As far as the arm velocity, around 80, let me just double check, 85, that's not terrible. Again, if we're just as an infielder, you don't need to throw 100 miles an hour across the diamond to get noticed. Yes, it's going to help, but personally, when I played professional baseball, guys, like I don't feel like I ever threw the ball harder than probably 75 miles an hour in my entire professional career in a game. So if you have good footwork as a shortstop, if you have good hands, you pick the right hop, you choose the right angles right towards the ball, you don't need to throw a ball as hard as you possibly can. So an 85 arm velocity, in my opinion, is plenty if you're trying to play college baseball. So as far as a level, this kind of tells me we're kind of a little bit above average. We're nothing super crazy right now. I would probably say pretty confidently D3, potentially D2. I'm not going to necessarily say D2 just yet because there isn't that one metric that is screaming off of the page or basically telling me he is a D2 caliber style player. So we need to work on that one tool, and if we can try perfecting that one tool, we can definitely take our game to that D2 level. All right. It looks like my captions aren't working. Not my captions, my comments. There's this like extension tool that I don't know why, but it just doesn't work sometimes. Puts everything on OBS and keeps everything just like super, super clean. But we will keep this going. Like I said, guys, if you have any specific metrics that you want me to go over, I know there's been an influx, I think that's the right word, of players that want me to do their metrics, and I keep telling them in the DMs like, hey, the only way I do it is through lives. So all right, we have a 2027 catcher, right-handed pitcher, 96 exit velocity, 86 arm velocity, 7.260, definitely makes sense. So 7.260 is nothing super crazy, but again, because we're a catcher, it doesn't need to be sub 7. Like it really doesn't need to be sub 7. Any other position on the field, typically saying, I would say we want to get lower, and the lower the better. But catching, it's not the number one tool as far as the player profile. 96 exit velocity as a 2027, we're talking about a junior here. 86 arm velocity, I don't know if that's off the mound or as a catcher, but either way, this can definitely project as like a D2, D3, just that alone. So if we're talking about exit velocity 96, that's pretty high up there. That's kind of, again, D2, D3 range, especially since we are a junior. 7.260, again, not too important. So the one position out there that the metrics don't necessarily matter as much for are going to be catchers, right? Because how you block, how you catch and throw, how you call a game, your overall presence, your receiving skills, these are all things that are going to take you from here to here. And of course, that's what college coaches are always going to be looking for. So just based off of the metrics, very, very difficult for me to say, but I'm going to go with that D2, D3 range just based off the metrics, considering I don't know what kind of catcher this individual is. All right. We'll keep on going. Andrew, welcome in. Anthony, welcome in. Dunge, welcome in. LW Archery, welcome in. Rob Ram, welcome in. Kylan. Awesome, guys. Well, let's keep this going. And of course, if you guys have any baseball related questions, feel free to ask. That's why I do these. Okay. All right. These are always going to be uploaded over on YouTube, by the way, guys. So just giving you guys a little bit of a heads up. If you ever want me to review your specific metrics, and if I do record your metrics, just keep in mind that I always put them over on YouTube. So just giving you guys that heads up. Definitely want to make sure that you guys get that. I'm going to mess with a little bit of settings real quick just to make sure we're good. Okay, that one's good. But yeah, how's everyone's Friday going? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Brandon, just all you have to do is give me your metrics basically by, yeah, just give me your metrics. It's as simple as that, really. Yeah, all you have to do is put it down in the chat and I will take care of you, my man. For EV, is it off the tee? Ideally, just give me like your max. If you do have off the tee, that's going to be a little bit more accurate. The only reason why we like to do off the tee is because um, off the tee, it's standardized. It's, the ball's quite literally standing still. You can't leverage the ball coming in basically like you would be able to off of a machine. So, for example, like off the machine, it's very, I'm not going to say it's easy to hit 100 exit velocity, right, guys? But it's just like when you're in professional baseball, you would see 100-mile-an-hour exit velocity all the time because, the pitch is already coming in at 70, 80 miles an hour. Off the machine, actually, not really. Off the machine, you're probably seeing like 60 miles an hour. We don't ever really ramp it up, but it's always good to have that understanding um, on basically that the ball coming in, that's always going to help. Of course, with everything. Um, let's do that. Okay, cool. All right. Just want to make sure this is working. Okay, cool. All right. Let's get back into it. We'll do some other player profiles. But yeah, guys, if you want me to do you as far as your metrics, just go ahead and drop it down below. Brandon, I'm going to take care of you right now. And then also we got Brandon Speranza 1. Cool. All right. Let's do it. All right, we got Brandon, 2028 shortstop, right-handed pitcher. Let's go. That's what I was in high school. 102 exit velocity, 88.5, so 86 arm velocity, 91 infield. No, exit velocity. Okay, wait a second. 88.9 fastball, 91 infield. Okay, so 88/91 infield, 6.95 and ranked 13th in New York. I'm assuming NYS. I'm guessing that's New York State. Cool, dude. Well, yeah, 60 time, around that 7 flat, definitely where you want to be as a sophomore, shortstop, right-handed pitcher. So personally for me, I got to this around my late junior year as I was going into my as I was going into my senior year. So great job that you're already there in your sophomore season. That's definitely going to help, and that's also why you're ranked for sure. As far as exit velocity, that screams, right? This checking the box. This is like, it's totally fine. Guys, I ran a 7.4, and that was my fastest my senior year, and I played 7 years of professional baseball as a shortstop and third baseman, right? I wasn't the fastest guy. I didn't steal the most amount of bags, but I did have lateral quickness. So always keep that in mind. Your 60 is important, but having lateral quickness, especially if you're trying to be a shortstop at the next level, is equally as important. But you're really checking a lot of the boxes, dude. So like with the right structure, making sure that you're continuously pushing these metrics up and to the right, dude, have those dreams and goals to be able to play college baseball at the Division I level. Don't shoot for JUCO because it's easier, because of the transfer portal, and because of this excuse and that excuse. Don't shoot yourself short or sell yourself short and try to go like D2 or D3 because you might get more playing time. You might get more playing time at the D1 school if you play your cards right, if you go about the recruiting side over here the right way. And dude, I'd love to be able to help you out through that process. Brandon, awesome numbers, by the way. Really good job. 2028s and 2027s are exactly who I'm trying to work with right now. Check out my website, Brandon. It's in the link in my bio if you are interested. Because ultimately, like what you've done so far is going to get you to college. I truly believe that. What's going to get you beyond that college, of course, it's how we transition our current setup or our current structure that's going to help us get there. But really, really solid numbers, dude. You might be able to qualify for one of my higher end programs. It's called the Full Ride Framework, where I basically do all the recruiting for you, Brandon. So definitely check that out. Talk with your parents a little bit if they're around. And yeah, like I said, just check out the link in my bio for more information and go ahead and apply if it makes sense. And that goes for everyone. Of course, like if you guys are stuck in the recruiting process, you don't know what to say to these college coaches, you don't know when to start, you don't know how to go about any of this, you don't know what showcases make the most sense, you don't know if you should go to camps, you don't know if you should say hello to college coaches at an event, at a tournament this summer. Guys, if you have any of these questions, feel free to just contact me. Of course, my DMs are always open, but also on the flip side, guys, go ahead and one of the coolest things about what we do as far as eligibility reviews, guys, is like by the end of the conversation, it's crazy how many times that players and families don't join into the program, but thank me for the time as far as just opening their eyes on what's going on, right? I think that's the biggest thing, is because like I want you guys to understand like where you're currently at. And of course, like if it makes sense, like we'll walk down that game plan together. Of course, like if it doesn't make sense, then it's not going to make sense. It's not that big of a deal. But of course, it is very important. Is Evie off the tee? Wynn said that about Brandon. Brandon, if that's off the tee, that's really solid. 102 off the tee. You are very quick twitched. I don't know if Brandon's still in the chat or not. But yeah, guys, if you want me to do your player profile, just drop your metrics down below. I know a lot of people have been liking these as far as the lives that I've been doing. Just really fun. I've been enjoying them. But then also the short forms. You guys have been really engaging with them as well. So cool. PBR showcase off machine. My TEV was 97 with wood right now. Let's go, Brandon. That's awesome. Yeah, off the machine, you're pretty much guaranteed to get at least like 5 extra miles an hour. So I'll never forget when I was with the St. Louis Cardinals and I was in big league spring training, we had a TrackMan cage, which was always the furthest one down, and it was off of a machine, and TrackMan basically gave us our exit velocities, right? So a lot of people would love to go towards that cage because they want to see their numbers, and of course everyone does. But when you're trying to share cage time with like guys like Yadier Molina, Randy Arozarena, Paul Goldschmidt, like Tommy Edman, those guys usually take charge of that last cage because they're just veterans, right? But the biggest thing I would say as far as that goes, it's like, so usually I would wait until they were done to be able to use that cage, and I would just abuse that cage, and of course seeing those numbers. And I remember like there was one day I was constantly, like it didn't matter how well I hit the ball. It was really just like the velocity coming in. I think it was on left-handed curveballs or sliders that day. Every single one of my balls, like the exit velocities were like 98 to like 105. And it was just like a very constant 97, 99, 103, 106, 102. Like it was just like a spray of low 100s, give or take a few, off the machine. And it was just like a very effortless, probably like 80% swing. And whenever you're hitting off the machine, if you hit good barrel, you can use the bat and use the lever of the bat basically to help you basically hit the ball that much further. So yeah, it's just something that you guys need to understand. Like when you're hitting off the machine, it definitely does help when you know how to use that bat in your hands. We got Bennett. All right. We got Bennett. He is a 2027 SIF. What is that? Corner infield. Okay. Corner infielder. And right-handed pitcher. We got a switch hitter. Okay. Cool. 94 EV. No, sorry. 94 EV. We got 93 from the left side, so 94. Right, 85 arm velocity, and a 7.660. So as a corner infielder, yeah, without a doubt, this is going to be a little bit more for the bulky, husky type players, right? So like if you're a little bit of a bigger sized player as a junior, there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, understand what kind of player you are with that though. with the bigger, of course, corner infield type players. Again, guys, if you, this is the diamond right here, right? The closer we are to that center line, that's going to be where you want to be an athlete. Since we're talking about a third baseman right here, this is where power is very important. So that's where that exit velocity, ideally we want that to be closer to 100 miles an hour. As far as arm velocity, it's not guaranteed or needed that you need to get that as close to 90 miles an hour, but it just is going to help. So there's not necessarily one specific metric that really jumps off the page for me in particular. 94, it's good. It's, I would say, like right where you want to be, but I don't want to be where everyone else is, or I wouldn't want to be like that average, because average baseball players don't necessarily play at that next level. So in my opinion, I would probably be aiming for like probably around that D2, D3, if we continue on this path of kind of just being a little bit above average in some of these metrics. Because ultimately, if we can just choose one of these metrics to take it above and beyond, if we can start throwing 90, that's going to help us put into that category of D2, possibly D1. If we can get that exit velocity closer to 100 miles an hour with wood off the tee, that's again going to put us into that D2 type of category, assuming if the other areas of our game also shape out as well. Hopefully that helps. Bennett. Thanks for stopping by. We're going to go ahead and get Owen. All right, we got Owen. He is a 2028 right fielder, right-handed pitcher with a 90 mile an hour arm. No. Yeah. Okay, 90/86 mile an hour arm. I'm guessing that's from the outfield. Cool. 102 exit velocity with a 7.2 60. Gotcha. Cool. Well, as far as being a sophomore right fielder, definitely want to make sure that the exit velocity is where it should be. 102, that's actually really solid, dude. 7.2, that's also pretty good as well for a sophomore. Arm velocity 90. I'm guessing that's from the outfield. Dude, that's awesome. This definitely plays out being a sophomore. This plays out really well. 60, I would say, is like, it's okay. It's nothing super crazy. I'm assuming you're maybe a little bit of a bigger guy. You can definitely rotate extremely well, assuming these numbers are, really high, which they are. But yeah, dude, as far as a specific level, like I would be, especially since you're a sophomore, dude, be aiming for that D1 level. Don't sell yourself short. Don't try to go to JUCO because you've heard that the transfer portal is that much more difficult. Just aim big, guys. I can't tell you guys enough. If this is, the world and this is you down here, shoot for the stars. This was my elementary's like motto. Shoot for the stars. All right. And if there are clouds right here, if you don't hit that star, you might land on the cloud. Guys, that star might be D1, this might be D2. But if you have dreams and goals to go to JUCO, what is this? Is that just like being a varsity starter? Is that like a 4-year starter? Like, what is this, right? Is it NAIA? Not, in my opinion, NAIA and JUCO are kind of like neck and neck. So like, what is below JUCO if we set our goals that low? So always, always, always set big goals for yourself. And of course, if you don't hit them, maybe you land on the clouds. Cool. Hopefully that mindset makes sense to you guys. Obviously, the mindset is something that's very, very important with everything that you got going on. All right, we got Luke, who is a 2027 left fielder, right-handed pitcher, 92, 87, 92 exit velocity, 7.2, 60. You're also, thank you for that, 6'2", 155. So definitely could add some weight right there. Right-handed. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, dude, being a junior with already kind of in that low 90s range, that's definitely going to be something that college coaches will want to see as far as a good, powerful arm. Curious on why you're playing left field though, because like with this type of arm, you ideally, like the better position to be playing if you have that good quality arm will be right field, not left. Maybe it's just like a team dynamic, but anyway, exit velocity, this is probably the thing that's hurting you more than anything. Yes, you are a sophomore, you're in the 90s as a sophomore, which is definitely helpful, but if we can get that, dude, if we can get that 97 plus, it's going to change the conversation with you and the coaches coming, here in the next couple of months around August 1st of your junior year, which is right around the corner. Or sorry, you are a junior, never mind. That's going to be, okay, so if you were a sophomore with a 92, that's very, very different. I forgot. Okay, so 2027, you're a junior. Yeah, dude, we need to be closer to like 98 right now to really change that conversation in the trajectory of recruiting. Also, having a 7.260, it's nothing really to write home about. That's going to definitely put us more into the category of being a pitcher, especially if we have that arm velocity already. So with where you're at right now, as far as a level, I would probably say around D2, of course, plus or minus. I'm not a fortune teller, guys, so I want you guys to understand that. But of course, if you have the right structure to make sure that we're changing this and we transition, obviously, the rotational strength of our arm strength into our exit velocity, because the rotation for hitting and pitching, very, very similar, guys. And of course, if we become more of an athlete with our 60 time, that's going to definitely help the cause in the recruiting side. So make sure that we're structuring ourselves out in the gym. But then most importantly, make sure you guys are taking care of the recruiting side. And if you guys are looking for assistance with that, feel free to click the link in my bio and apply. Cool. Luke, also a 2,800 RPM slider, 23 fastball, if you look into that too. So yeah, the metrics, like that's what college coaches are going to know a lot more about than I would. I personally don't know too much about these, the spin rates. It's kind of lost me a little bit. So this is how it worked. Quite literally, I would have an iPad in the dugout, guys, when I was in pro ball. And when we were hitting and, we would have the pitcher on the mound, we would have all the metrics, right? That he had a certain spin rate for his fastball. He'd have a certain spin rate for his slider and changeup and, over the average velos and things like that. So it was super helpful that we got to have that data. I forgot what high spin is. I honestly forgot. I think it might be like over 3,000, which is usually a high spin guy. But yeah, I completely forgot what, I think there was a guy that I played with. I used to play a lot of Fortnite with him. He was my teammate, but I think he had like a 3,500 spin fastball, which is insane. He basically threw that thing and it elevated. And for those that don't know how your fastball interacts with basically the plane of the pitch coming into the zone, is so important, right? If you're a high spin guy, your fastball is going to be like a Craig Kimbrell who rises up, right? If you're going to be more of like a Jordan Hicks who throws a ball with a sinker baller, that's going to change so much. And of course, like, yes, you can throw 100 miles an hour, but what kind of 100 miles an hour? Is it straight? I will tell you this, guys. I got to face Jordan Hicks when he was with the Cardinals throwing 104 miles an hour. He was a lot harder to hit because he had a lot more movement, as you can imagine, right? I also got to face Ryan Helsley a couple of times when he was with the Cardinals. And personally, I thought his 99 miles an hour was dead straight. Like, in my opinion, I thought it was like, I only faced him, I think, like once or twice, but it was just a comfortable-ish at bat. It was weird, right? Because you don't always say that about 99 mile an hour fastballers, right? But it's how your fastball interacts. I've also faced some guys that just straight up spin the crap out of their fastball and it rises up, and you have to feel like you're hitting, like if this is the ball, you feel like you're chopping down way on top of it just to make contact. And that's happened so many times. So how your fastball interacts is really important. Does being a taller, bigger guy get more attention than average size guys? Yeah, absolutely, dude. You're 6'2", so that's already giving you the frame that you can project into like a 180 type frame. As far as your body weight, you are a junior, so like ideally if you're that 180 right now, that's going to be super helpful in the whole process of you getting recruited, because it shows that you're taking care of not only your nutrition but also in the gym as well. And these are all things, by the way, I help out with all of my students. So like if you are interested in working one-on-one with me inside my remote training program, you can click the link in my bio. Go ahead and apply. Just make sure you fill out all that information accurately. I don't know. I'm really curious, and this is more of like a conversation for all of you guys that are listening. If you guys want to chime in, what is the deal? And I kind of understand, but you're 6'4". Okay, 185. I thought you said 6'2". Didn't? Oh no, Luke said 6'2". Okay, my bad. Awesome. Yeah, 6'4", 185. Dude, that's awesome. I thought you were Luke for a second. But yeah, as far as so one thing that I want to kind of just share with you guys. So in the process of actually like applying to work one-on-one with me, like I always like like player information and parent information, right? So that means parent phone number and player phone number. For whatever reason, a lot of you players out there, high schoolers, like you'll apply to work with me and you'll just put like your phone number in twice, and that doesn't really help me at all, because then it also doesn't help your parents at all, because they don't know what in the world you signed up for, right? And let's be fair, you didn't sign up for anything, you just applied. It is free to apply to work one-on-one with me. But basically going through that process tells you basically if we're a good fit or if we're not a good fit, right? So basically that's all you have to do as far as like to understand that. For whatever reason, I think a lot of people are just like, don't understand the reasoning behind those things. But I'm telling you right now, it's just to make sure that we're all on the same page. So, cool, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and play a quick video so you guys understand who I am and what my program is all about, so you have that better understanding. And then if you do have any baseball-related questions or want me to do more player profiles, feel free to ask down below in the chat. This video that I'm about to play is going to go over kind of my whole program, so listen up. It is very good information. If you have a sophomore or junior who dreams of playing college baseball, but you are terrified of wasting maybe another $10,000 on showcases, travel, equipment, camps, all of the above that lead nowhere, the recruiting clock is already ticking. And this is the most important message you'll watch this entire year, so stick around. You already know the stats, but only 7% of high school baseball players make it to college baseball. Yes, 7%. And by junior year, most are already behind him. Parents waste thousands on showcases, hoping a coach will magically notice. College coaches don't sit in the stands taking notes on every random sophomore. They want players with proven metrics: the mental game, the recruiting strategy. And without those three things, your son is invisible. Junior year ends before you know it. And my name is Evan Mendoza. I played 7 years of professional baseball between the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Padres. I was drafted from NC State University, even appeared in the World Baseball Classic representing Team Columbia, and I've helped over 200 players land offers. And recruiting isn't luck. It's really a system. And most parents learn it a little bit too late. So let's talk about problem number one. Your son's training is completely random. He's probably doing like notes app workout programs where he's writing the program kind of based off of YouTube videos, TikTok videos, Instagram videos, whatever the case may be. And his mentality, that's completely neglected. A lot of high school baseball players, and this is really problem number two, you neglect your son's mentality. Of course, making sure that he has those frameworks to overcome the many struggles that I've, of course, faced in the game of baseball. Problem number three is you have no recruiting roadmap, and you can't fix one without the others. And that's why I built the triple play system, built specifically for sophomores and juniors. And let's go over one by one. So physical development, this is training that ultimately will move the needle. We have workout programs written by New York Mets strength coach, and of course they are baseball specific, but what you guys are doing right now is kind of just a complete scatter, and there's no structure behind it. As far as on the mental development, you have to have daily accountability that builds these habits that pros, of course, have, or that D1 athletes have. As far as on the recruiting strategy, your son learns, or ultimately to recruit himself. And most programs give you maybe just like drills, and they kind of do what I refer to as the Band-Aid approach. You can't put a Band-Aid on a leaky pipe, because there's going to be a point in time where that leaky pipe, outgrows that Band-Aid. We give you the system. Your son launches recruiting in 14 days. And this isn't a course that you're going to forget. This isn't some cheap PDF or a YouTube video. It's a system he lives inside of. And this is real parents, real players, and real results. Sayori, the mom of Hugo, one of my students from Japan, Coach Evan changed everything for Hugo. Santiago, I'm fired up to work every day. And expanded on that quote, I remember Santiago told me he's excited to do that extra work beyond the team practices. And of course, we need to do that extra work beyond team practices to see that difference. Having you in my corner has been game-changing. That was from Landon from California. And we really have two ways to help our players. Which path depends on really his metrics and where he's currently at in the whole timeline, which is a reason why we need to speak together to just make sure that we map out the correct game plan. Path number one, that's called the triple play. That's what you may have already heard a little bit about. That's done with you. We give you the complete system. Your son executes it kind of like a robot, right? When I transitioned from high school to college, the biggest thing that I saw is we had a strength coach that wrote those programs, and us, the athletes, and this continued, of course, in professional baseball, we, the athletes, are to execute. We are to be robots, quite literally, and do the work that's prescribed to us. So we coach your son through all of that. He learns the recruiting inside and out. That's really going to be perfect for those sophomores building their foundation, sometimes even freshman year as well. The second path, this is going to be a little bit different. So this is going to be the full ride framework, and that's completely done for you. And I personally handle, yes, me, I personally handle every part of his recruiting campaign. I build all the recruiting assets professionally done. So there's no like messy slobber like what's happening probably right now for you guys. I contact these college coaches directly for you and your son. We're going to be sending out hundreds of emails as your player. So I'm not going to be sending them out by like my email. We're actually going to go ahead and start from the absolute ground up. We're going to create a Gmail together. You will have access, we will have access, and of course that's going to be how we reach out to these college coaches on your son's behalf. There's going to be live dashboards that track every coach that's been contacted, and really that's going to be perfect for really that junior ready to get recruited now. And of course you understand that you don't want to be playing your senior season with that weight on your back. This is what makes this one a no-brainer. So if you do not earn a baseball scholarship in 12 months, you get 100% of your money back. And that's because I feel so incredibly confident in everything that we do, and especially the qualified individuals that come to us, right? We're not gonna make this offer for someone that is throwing 32 miles an hour off the mound, right? You have to qualify for us, and again, that is the reason why we need to hop on a Zoom call. And every single penny would be returned back over to you. And of course, we only accept those players with those metrics that make sense. If your son is in the ballpark of any of these metrics, that's good. Of course, we want to get a better understanding of where his mind is at, which we can, again, only do on a Zoom call. And getting him noticed isn't necessarily the hard part from our standpoint. And that's what I do. For those 11th graders with proven physical metrics, that's going to be that full ride framework prerequisite. So that's just something that I want you guys to be completely transparent about, or I want to be completely transparent about you guys. For those sophomores, or maybe you don't meet those metrics, that's totally fine. That's going to be where we build out that foundation from the first place inside the triple play. And that's exactly what that is designed for. We build him up to those metrics so that way recruiting becomes that much easier. Then he's ready for that full ride framework. And are you tired of wasting, money or time on these endless showcases in summer ball, whatever the case may be? This is what the triple play is ultimately for, and for the parents especially. So if you want a real plan for sophomore and junior year of high school, want recruiting handled maybe potentially for you guys completely, where those conversations are delivered to your doorstep. And by the way, guys, I want to make sure that this is very, very clear. This is not for some type of like magic pill or magic button. If you're looking for that magic fix for everything that you've got going on, we are probably not a good fit. Players who don't want to do the work, yes, we're going to give you everything on the recruiting side, especially if we're talking about the full ride framework, but your player or you have to pull in the other end of the bargain. Of course, you need to be doing the correct work that we prescribe to you, so that way those metrics turn into the player that we can easily recruit. Of course, parents who just complain about politics, if you are a parent and you're complaining about playing time, politics, and you think that is the answer or the solution, we need to look at ourselves in the mirror. Because if at the end of the day our ego is hurt based off of these conversations about politics or playing time, we need to look at ourselves in the mirror, ultimately saying to ourselves, or really our player having that conversation, okay, so what can we do about it? And of course, there's a lot to be done if you want to separate yourself from the rest of the competition. So if that is you, again, this is not going to work if you're blaming everything on politics or playing time or, basically daddy ball, whatever the case may be, right? I can't guarantee necessarily a scholarship. And I want to, of course, translate that the best that I can. No one can technically guarantee anything. I can guarantee that I'm going to show up for your son every single day. There is that part of the guarantee because I know what I'm going to be able to hold up on my end, right? But of course, your son's going to have to do the work and, of course, keep that consistency to keep progressing into a D1 caliber talent. But I can guarantee you guys this. Your son will improve his metrics, he will strengthen his mental game, and he will learn how to recruit himself. He'll have a real shot at college baseball, and that's really all we can ask for because of the slim chances of playing college baseball. Of course, if your son is doing the work before even talking to us, as we're talking to each other, and of course, that's going to make the recruiting side that much easier. If this is not a hope, it's a real shot at playing college baseball. There are limited spots available every single month that we work with. So once we're full, and I can't spread my bandwidth any thinner than basically 5 students every month or 2 per quarter. And I'll get into that a little bit more. So here's what's happened next. You can click the button down below this video, fill out that short little application attached to the calendar. And if you're qualified, you can go ahead and schedule your eligibility review. if this is like, by the way, I just want to translate this very effectively to you guys. This is not information that, we're going to hop on a call and give you a bunch of information. Believe it or not, after you schedule your call, I'm going to send you literally loads of information. So that way you can do that research beforehand. So that way we can really build out a game plan for your son. We're not here to like meet up and just basically tell you guys everything that we do. Again, that's what that pre-call checklist that we're going to send over to you guys, so you can do that research beforehand so we can have an effective and efficient conversation. This is a real eligibility review. We have turned down plenty of players because of the simple fact that their mind is not in the right place. Again, we can't do this through text. We can't understand where your son's mind is currently at through text or through a phone call with you individually. We need to understand where the player's mind is at, because if the player doesn't want to play college baseball, then we're not going to force him to do anything that he doesn't want to do. And we're going to map out what he needs to do. And this is a no pressure environment. There's no games, guys. I'm just going to give you that clarity on what's going to be expected, what those potential next steps could look like if that game plan makes sense for you guys. And again, another reason is because there's those two paths, especially as a parent. Of course, there's path one. You can keep doing what you've been doing. Waste another maybe $10,000 between travel ball, between private hitting coaches, equipment, camps, showcases, another recruiting profile like NCSA. Guys, you don't need another recruiting profile because you're not driving any traffic to it. You need to understand the system on how to get that attention, get those impressions, and get that exposure from college coaches. So that way, your son would basically stay invisible to these college coaches if you choose path one. If we choose path two, we give him a proven system to follow, real accountability, real recruiting strategy, and a real shot, again, at the only thing that we can really wish for, to play college baseball. So the choice is yours. Sophomore and junior year, guys, from my own personal experience, when I was through the college recruiting process, it goes by like a blink of an eye. It flies by. So down below, you can go ahead and apply to get started. And just a reminder, limited spots are available this month. If you have a sophomore or junior who dreams of playing college baseball, but you are terrified of wasting... All right, we are back. We're going to do some more player profiles until we wrap things up. Dylan, how we doing, my man? Welcome in, welcome in. And guys, yeah, feel free to ask your questions. Also, I'm going to do player profiles for the next 15 minutes or so, and then we will be on our way. So this is our last Mendoza Line. I'm going to be doing a lot more on like Sunday nights in a little bit more of like a controlled and like longer format. So I might be doing lives for like 2+ hours on Sunday nights. I also might do some throughout the week as well. So I'm looking at probably like around 4 lives a month. And 2 of them probably are going to be on Sundays, and 2 of them are going to probably be on like a Thursday maybe. Yeah, and we'll kind of just go from there. Yeah. But yeah, if you guys do have any baseball related questions, feel free to ask. All right, all right, all right. All right, we're going to get some player profiles. Let's get it. All right, you know what? We're going to do some this or that's, actually. All right, all right, all right. All right, this or that, weighted balls or regular balls. So in my opinion, if the goal is to increase your velocity, number one, we need to actually throw a lot more. We need to get comfortable with not only the volume, but also our mechanics as well. So with the volume of throwing, should we incorporate weighted balls? In my opinion, yes, without a doubt. There are different types of weighted balls, mostly important. A lot of people think plyo balls are the best way to go about it. I actually hate weighted balls with the plyo feeling because it's kind of like sand. They're squishy. They don't feel like a baseball. So I would much rather the weighted, just like a true weighted baseball that has a little bit extra weight. Nothing super crazy. You should not be doing like a 12-ounce weighted baseball. That's not going to help your arm. If anything, that's going to possibly hurt your arm. But as far as like just throwing normal baseballs, if the goal to throw harder, if that's truly the goal, we have the technology of being able to use heavier baseballs to not only train the strength, but also lighter baseballs to build the speed. And of course, in combination, that's where we're going to get that velocity. All right. All right, all right, all right. All right, long toss or flat ground work? Well, it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Because if the goal is to build up arm strength, durability, things like that, long toss will always be your answer, and I'm going to be siding with long toss. Flat ground work is a completely different avenue of really thinking. Flat ground work is going to be if we have a start right here, so that's a start day, and if we have another start day right here, right? Let's just say that these are both on a Monday, right? Ideally, somewhere in the middle, that's where we want to be doing a flat ground work. Ideally, we also want to be doing some long toss in those areas as well, in these areas, and then a flat ground work is right there. So can we do necessarily only flat ground works here and here? In my opinion, that's not going to help you build out your strength and maintain that strength throughout a long season. Now, if we only do long toss, more than likely your arm will get tired. So using flat ground work really is just a way of managing the workload or really the volume of throws. So ideally having some level of like a flat ground or a touch and feel, which is a lot of the pitchers what they would refer to it as in professional baseball, it is a must, but it's not necessarily a this or that. But if I had to choose absolutely without a doubt one to implement, if it is a do or die, it's going to be long toss 100 days out of 100. All right, all right, all right. All right, launch angles or line drive approach. So, in my opinion, I'm going to talk to you a little bit what my approach was when I was a 7-year pro between the Cardinals and Padres, and it really truly was more of a line drive approach. If you are strictly going after launch angle, in my opinion, what's going to happen is you're going to flare, you're going to mess up your mechanics, your backside's going to collapse, and ultimately everything is going to be an uppercut from there. So, in my opinion, having a short, compact swing that ultimately favors a line drive approach is ultimately going to help you out so much more in your baseball career as a hitter. Guys, if you have, again, that launch angle mindset, everything is going to be uphill. It's not necessarily going to be the best approach mentally when you're facing higher velocities as well. Now, my approach when I played was usually a low line drive, high enough, of course, over the second baseman's head where it would be a single. But of course, if I barreled it up with good backspin, that could potentially carry to the outfield gap where I'm splitting the right fielder and the center fielder, and I could either get like a double or a triple with my, my speed if it's a bigger field. So having that line drive approach, what Mookie Betts said best is basically home runs for him are when he has the line drive approach, but he mistakenly hits it a little bit below the ball. Because if you make that mistake and you barely hit a little bit below the ball when you have that line drive approach, it turns into a home run. All right. All right, velo or command. So if we're talking about strictly a pitcher, of course, velocity is going to help you get into the door. It's going to help you basically meet the right people, talk to the right people, especially those college coaches that are possibly interested in you. Having command, though, is what's going to get you that playing time. Yes, velocity. If you throw 92 miles an hour, you can get drafted, or you can get even, recruited to a D1 program. Let's just call Ole Miss, for example, right? You can play and, earn a roster spot at Ole Miss throwing 92. But guess what? Everyone else probably throws around 92. So what's going to be the difference? Is having the command. So yes, velo first, in my opinion, if you're a high school baseball player. Yes, we want to be able to have that velocity to show that we have the right mechanics. We can throw the ball that hard, but we don't want to be a thrower. So velocity without the command, of course, that's going to be just a thrower. Of course, if we have the velocity and the command, that's when we are a true pitcher. Okay. High school baseball sophomores and let's do that again. Parents of sophomores and juniors ask me this all the time. Do I go to showcases or should I spend more time going to camp? So, in my opinion, showcases is a great resume builder, right? Ultimately, when we have a long resume of basically we were throwing 80 miles an hour here, but now we're throwing 90 miles an hour at this most recent event. That's going to showcase basically the resume that we're building by going to these showcases. Of course, they have profiles on like PBR, perfect game, things like that. As far as going to these camps, this is where we're able to develop really relationships with these college coaches. Ideally, a relationship with a college coach, shaking hands and things like that. I didn't go to many college camps. Like, for example, I went to this very fun college camp when I was in elementary school at the University of Miami, and I really enjoyed it. And I also went to some other fun camps at the Naval Academy, for example. But the big other camps that I went to was really UVA and Rice, which were my big schools, and I ultimately committed to NC State. So I went to these two, but I did not go to where I ultimately committed to. Ultimately because NC State recruiting coordinator came out to watch me and showed the interest in me before these schools ever did, really. The thing is, though, once I landed my offer from NC State, guess who was right behind them with that domino effect? So going to camps, of course, builds up those relationships, but, obviously those showcases are a great way to get those metrics. But in my opinion, you don't need to necessarily go to these showcases to get the metrics. If that's truly all you need to go there for, just go to your local facility, ask for a radar gun or access to their Rapsodo or TrackMan, and get 30 minutes in under that technology. And then that way we have those metrics for our baseline numbers to showcase that growth. How do you spell way options? Anybody want to help me out? How do you spell how to weigh your options? Is it WEIGH or weight options? I think it's commit or early or wait for better. Let's do that because I don't know how to spell. All right, this is gonna be the last one that we do, but I've been really enjoying this, guys. All right, this or that. Do we want to commit early as a junior in high school, or do we want to wait for a better scholarship and see what else is out there, weighing our options? So, in my opinion, the worst thing that you can do in the whole college recruiting process as a high school baseball player who's serious about playing at the next level is basically going to the first coach that is attractive enough. I'm messing up my words now, so I'm going to restart that. Ay, ay, ay. Do you remember anything that the Naval Academy camp? Is it just interested in their program? Was wondering if you have info. So that Naval Academy camp, like I did it when I was like a 7th grader. So it's been so long. That's like straight up like 15 years ago, dude. So not to show my age or anything, but all right, if you're a serious high school baseball player, should you commit early or wait for a better opportunity? And when I say commit early, I'm talking about like your junior year of high school. And one of the worst mistakes that I see high school baseball players make, especially if you're serious about getting the best opportunity and making sure that it's a mutual fit, is committing early. So I would never do that. I would always wait for a better opportunity because also the dominoes will fall after that first offer. As far as committing early, paint this picture. It's kind of like relationships, right? We want to make sure that we have the ability to be interested in the school equally as much as the coaches are interested in us. It's kind of like a relationship, right? If you're not going to go towards the first girl that's interested in you if you're not actually like attracted to her, right? It has to be a two-way street. And if you commit early, what you find yourself typically doing is you find this pressure of always wanting to be a committed baseball player, and you find that weight of there is an offer on the table, and ultimately what you feel like doing is just, oh, I want to commit so I can get over with this, and I'm just so stressed out because I don't want to talk to other schools, and I'm just going to go for it, and I'm just going to commit to this school even though I have no clue who they are. They might be a low-level D3. They might not even have the facilities to nurture your growth. So this is a huge mistake that I would say a lot of high school baseball players unfortunately make in the timeline of the college recruiting process. Now, with that being said, if the first ever offer you get is in like May of your senior year, yeah, you might have to commit as soon as humanly possible because you want to be able to have that opportunity to continue out your baseball career. But ultimately, wait for those better options, especially right after August 1st of your junior year. If you have college coaches contacting you, you know that you're on the right track. Just be patient and play out the game. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap things up. It's been a pleasure doing these Mendoza lines. I'm going to be not doing them every weekday at 7 o'clock anymore. I'm going to be doing them mostly on Sundays and then also probably weekdays. Going to be kind of like spur of the moment. I'm not going to necessarily have a set schedule. So I hope that you guys really enjoy these Mendoza lines. And of course, subscribe to me over on YouTube. That's where I'm going to continuously put great content out over there. And then also on short form, you're going to see a lot of these iPad demonstrations still. But yeah, I've been loving this, and hopefully you guys have been too. So I'll see you on the next one.
See how he became more confident after talking to you every time. You are always there when he needs. I think it's really important to know or be told from someone professional like you.
Which was a completely new experience for us. I think we were skeptical. We dove into some of the content. We realized how good it was and the quality of it. The way that you kind of worked with him and you set expectations for him, like, hey, these are the things I'm expecting from you, and that was a big part of why we enjoyed the program as well.
The program has made me like a little eagerness to go out and do something and not just like wait for the team practice.